Good morning, everyone, or good night, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. We are continuing Exodus 34. The Lord said to Moses, "Chisel out 2 stone tablets like the first ones, and I will write on the words that were on the first tablets, which you broke. Be ready in the morning, and then come up on Mount Sinai. Present yourself to me there on top of the mountain. No one is to come with you, or to be seen anywhere on the mountain. Not even the flocks and herds may graze in front of the mountain." I just realized, like the stone tablets are like us. We always get a second chance. Always. God is always giving us a second chance. Second chance in this case was Jesus. Boom. Anyways. So Moses chiseled out 2 stone tablets like the first ones and went up to Mount Sinai early in the morning, as the Lord had commanded him. And he carried the 2 stone tablets in his hands. Then the Lord came down in a cloud and stood there with him and proclaimed his name, the Lord. And he passed in front of Moses, proclaiming, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands, and forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin. Yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children and their children for the sin of the parents to the 3rd and 4th generation. Moses bowed to the ground at once, and worshipped. "Lord," he said, "if I have found favor in your eyes, then let the Lord go with us. Though this is a stiff-necked people, forgive our wickedness and our sin, and take us as your inheritance." Then the Lord said, "I am making a covenant with you before all people. I will do wonders never before done in any nation in the world. The people you live among will see how awesome the work that I, the Lord, will do for you. Obey what I have commanded you today. I will drive out before you the Amorites, Canaanites, Hittites, Jebusites, Perizzites, and Hivites. Be careful not to make a treaty with those who live in the land where you are going, or they will be a snare among you. Break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, and cut down their Asherah poles. Do not worship any other god, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. Be careful not to make a treaty with those who live in the land, for when they prostitute themselves to their gods and sacrifice to them, they will invite you, and you will eat their sacrifices. And when you choose some of their daughters as wives for your sons, and those daughters prostitute themselves to their gods, they will lead your sons to do the same. Do not make any idols. Celebrate the festival of unleavened bread. For 7 days, eat bread made without yeast, as I commanded you. Do this at the appointed time in the month of Aviv, for the month you came out of Egypt. The first offspring of every womb belongs to me, including the firstborn males of your livestock, whether from herd or flock. Redeem your firstborn donkey with a lamb. But if you do not redeem it, break its neck. Redeem all your firstborn sons. No one is to appear before me empty-handed. 6 days you shall labor, but on the 7th day you shall rest. Even during the plowing season and the harvest you must rest. Celebrate the festival of weeks with the first fruits of the wheat harvest, and the festival of ingathering, and at the turn of the year, 3 times a year, all your men are to appear before the sovereign Lord, the God of Israel. I will drive out nations before you and enlarge your territory, and no one will covet your land when you go up 3 times each year to appear before the Lord your God. Do not offer the blood as sacrifices to me, along with anything containing yeast, and do not let any of the sacrifices from the Passover festival remain until morning. Bring the best of your first fruits to the soil, to your house of the Lord your God. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Write down these words, for in accordance with these words, I have made a covenant with you and with Israel." Moses was right there with the Lord for 40 days and 40 nights, without eating bread or drinking water, and he wrote on the tablets of the word of the covenant, the 10 Commandments. When Moses came down from the Mount Sinai with 2 tablets of the covenant law in his hands, he was not aware that his face was so radiant. He had spoken with because he had spoken with the Lord. When Aaron and all the Israelites saw Moses, his face was radiant, and they were afraid to come near him. But Moses called to them. So Aaron and the leaders of the community came back to him, and he spoke to them. Afterwards, the Israelites came near him, and he gave them all the commands the Lord had given him on Mount Sinai. When Moses finished speaking to them, he put a veil over his face. But whenever he entered the Lord's presence to speak with him, he removed the veil until he came out. And when he came out and told the Israelites what he had been commanded, they saw that his face was radiant. Then Moses put the veil back over his face until he went to speak with the Lord. Moses assembled the whole Israelite community and said to them, "These are the things the Lord has commanded you to do. For 6 days work is to be done, but the seventh day shall be your holy day, a day of Sabbath rest to the Lord. Whoever does any work on it is to be put to death, but do not light a fire in any of your dwellings on the Sabbath day." Moses said to the whole Israelite community, "This is what the Lord has commanded. From what you have, take an offering to the Lord. Everyone who is willing to bring to the Lord an offering of gold, silver, and bronze, blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and fine linen, goat hair, ram skins dyed red, and other types of durable leather, acacia wood, olive oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil, and for the fragrant incenses, the onyx stones, and other gems to be mounted on the ephod and breastpieces. All who are skilled among you are to come and make everything the Lord has commanded: the tabernacle and its tents, the coverings, clasps, frames, crossbars, posts, and base, the ark and its poles, and the anointment cover, and the curtain that shields it, the table with the poles, all its articles, and the bread of the presence, sorceries, lamps, and oil for the light, the altar of incense with its poles, the anointment oil and its fragrant incenses, the curtain for the doorway at the entrance of the tabernacle, the altar of burnt offering with its bronze grating and its poles and all the utensils, the bronze basin with its stand, the curtains of the courtyard with its posts and bases, and the curtain for the entrance of to the courtyard, the tent pegs for the tabernacle and for the courtyard, and their ropes, the woven garments woven for ministering in the sanctuary, both the sacred garments for Aaron and the priests, and the garments for his sons, and they serve as priests. Then the whole Israelite community withdrew from Moses' presence, and everyone who was willing and whose heart moved then came and brought an offering to the Lord for the work on the tent of meeting, for all of its service, and the sacred garments. All who were willing, men and women alike, came and brought gold, jewelry of all kinds, brooches, earrings, rings, and ornaments. And they presented their gold as a wave offering to the Lord. Everyone who had blue, purple, or scarlet yarn, or fine linen, or goat hair, or ram skins dyed red, or other durable leathers brought them. Those presenting in offerings of silver or bronze brought it as an offering to the Lord, and everyone who had acacia wood for any part of the work brought it. Every skilled woman spun with her hands and brought what she had spun, blue and purple and scarlet yarn or fine linen, and all the women who were willing and had the skill spun the goat hair. The leaders brought onyx stones and other gems to be mounted on the ephod and breastpieces. They also brought spices and olive oil for the light, and the anointing oil and for the fragrant incenses. All the Israelite men and women who were willing brought to the Lord freewill offerings for all the work the Lord through Moses had commanded them to do. Bezalel and Oholiab. Then Moses said to the Israelites, "See, the Lord has chosen Bezalel, son of Uri, the son of Ur, from the tribe of Judah, and he has filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, with understanding, and with knowledge, and with all kinds of skills, to make artistic designs of work in gold, silver, and bronze, to cut set stones, to work in the wood, to engage all kinds of artistic crafts. And he has given both him Oholiab, son of Ahisamach, from the tribe of Dan, the ability to teach others the ability to teach others. He has filled them with the skill to do all kinds of work as engravers, designers, embroiderers in blue, purple, scarlet yarn, and fine linens and weavers. All of them skilled workers and designers. So Bazil and Oholiab and every skilled person to whom the Lord had given a skill and ability to know how to carry out the work of construction in the sanctuary are to be done just as the Lord has commanded. Then Moses summoned Bezalel, Zebul, and Oholiab, and every skilled person to whom the Lord had given ability and who was willing to come do the work. They received from Moses all the offerings the Israelites had brought to carry out the work of constructing the sanctuary. And the people continued to bring freewill offerings in the morning after morning. So all the skilled workers who were doing all the work on the sanctuary left what they were doing, and Moses said to them, And then said to Moses, "The people are bringing more than enough to do the work the Lord has commanded to be done." Then Moses gave an order, and they sent the word throughout the camp, "No man or woman is to make anything else as an offering to the sanctuary." And so the people were restrained from bringing more, because they already had more than enough to do all the work. All those who were skilled among the workers made the tabernacle with 10 curtains of finely twisted linen, and blue and purple and scarlet yarn. The cherubim woven into them with expert hands. All the curtains were the same size, 28 cubits long and 4 cubits wide. They joined 5 of the curtains together and did the same as the other 5. Then they made loops of blue material along the edges of the end of the curtain on one set, and the same was done on the end of the curtain of the other set. They also made 50 loops on one curtain, and 50 loops on the end of curtain on the other set, with the loops opposite each other. Then they made 50 gold clasps and used them to fasten the 2 sets of curtains together, so that the tabernacle was a unit. They made curtains of goat hair for the tent over the tabernacle, 11 altogether. All 11 curtains were the same size, 30 cubits long and 4 cubits wide. They joined 5 of the curtains into one set and the other 6 into another set. Then they made 50 loops along the edge of the end curtain in one set, and also along the edge of the end curtain in the other set. They made 50 bronze clasps to fasten the tent together as a unit. Then they made the tent covering of a ram skins dyed red, and over the covering of other durable leather. They made upright frames of acacia wood for the tabernacle. Each frame was 10 cubits long and a cubit and a half wide, with 2 projections set parallel to each other. They made all the frames of the tabernacle in this way. They made 20 frames for the south side of the tabernacle and made 40 silver bases to go under them, 2 bases for each frame, 1 under each projection. For the other side, the north side of the tabernacle, they made 20 frames and 40 silver bases, 2 under each frame. They made 6 frames from the far end, that is, the west end of the tabernacle, and 2 frames were made for the corners of the tabernacle at the far end. At these 2 corners, the frames were double at the bottom, all the way to the top, and fitted into a single ring. Both were made alike. So there were 8 frames and 16 silver bases, 2 under each frame. They also made crossbars of acacia wood, 5 of the frames on one side of the tabernacle, 5 on those on the other side, and 5 for the frames on the west and far end of the tabernacle. They made the center crossbar so that it extended from end to end in the middle of the frames. They overlaid the frames with gold and made gold rings to hold the crossbars. They also overlaid the crossbars with gold. They made curtains of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, finely twisted linen, with cherubim woven into it by a skilled worker. They made 4 posts of acacia wood on it, overlaid them with gold, made gold hooks from them, cast their 4 silver bases. For the entrance of the tent, they made a curtain of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finely twisted linen, the work of an embroiderer. And they made 5 posts with hooks on them. For them, they overlaid the tops of the posts, their bands with gold, and made 5 bases of bronze. I do believe that's it for today. One. So 4 chapters. 2. 1. 1, 2, 3. Oh, tomorrow's gonna be a little bit short. Oh, it's only 3 chapters. No, we're doing more. Bezalel made the ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, a cubit and a half wide, and a cubit and a half high. He overlaid it with pure gold, both inside and out, and made gold molding around it. He cast 4 gold rings for it, and fastened them to its 4 feet, with 2 rings on 2 sides and 2 rings on the other. Then he made poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold, and he inserted the poles into the rings on the sides of the ark to carry it. He made the atonement cover of pure gold, 2.5 cubits long and a cubit and a half wide. Then he made 2 cherubim out of hammered gold with the ends of the cover. He made 1 cherub on one end and a second cherub on the other. At the 2 ends he made them of one piece with the cover. The cherubim had wings spread upwards, overshadowing the cover with them. The cherubim faced each other, looking towards the cover. The table. They made the table of acacia wood, 2 cubits long, a cubit wide, and a cubit and a half high. Then they overlaid it with pure gold and made gold molding around it. They also made it a rim of a handbreadth wide, and took a gold mold on the rim. They cast 4 gold rings for the table and fastened them to the 4 corners where the legs were. The rings were put close to the rim to hold the poles used to carry the table. The poles for carrying the table were made of acacia wood and were overlaid with gold. And they made from pure gold the articles for the table, its plates and dishes and bowls and pitchers for the pouring out of drink offerings. They made the lampstand of pure gold. They hammered out its base and shafts and made its flower-like cups, buds and blossoms of one piece with them. 6 branches extended from the sides of the lampstand, 3 on one side and 3 on the other. 3 cups shaped like almond flowers, and buds and blossoms were on the one branch, 3 on the next branch, and the same, all the 6 branches extending from the lampstand. And on the lampstand there were 4 cups shaped like almond flowers, with buds and blossoms. 1 bud was under the first pair of branches, extending from the lampstand. A 2nd bud under the 2nd pair, and the 3rd bud under the 3rd pair. 6 branches in all. The buds and the branches were all of one piece of the lampstand, hammered out of pure gold. They made its 7 lamps, as well as the wick trimmers and trays of pure gold. They made the lampstand and all its accessories from 1 talent of pure gold. They made the altar of incense out of acacia wood. It was square, a cubit long and a cubit wide, and 2 cubits high. Its horns were horns of one piece with it. They overlaid the top and all the sides of the horns with pure gold, and made a gold molding around it. They made 2 gold rings below the molding, 2 on each opposite sides to hold the poles used to carry it. They made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. They also made the sacred anointing oil and the pure gold, fragrant incense, and the work of a perfumer. Sheesh. Didn't we just read all about that, though? It's so funny. It talks about there's the making of them. And then reverse imaging. Crazy. Wild stuff.